What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the latest episode of Facts Not Included's Tangent Friday. Today is, of course, August 30th, 2019. Today's episode is going to be all about the things that we missed from last week. It's a lot of news to unravel, a lot of news to uncover, and it's going to be an episode where I sit down and discuss that stuff. The reason there wasn't an episode the last two Fridays is because we were busy, of course, this past weekend. If you haven't noticed, if you haven't checked out our Instagram, we were in Washington, D.C. We were enjoying ourselves there, and an episode about our little excursion to the nation's capital will be coming out next Friday, September 6th. So stay tuned for that. I think it's going to be a really fun episode. We had a lot of good times there in DC. A lot of good food, a lot of fun, just overall good experience that we had in the nation's capital. So stay tuned for September 6th. That Tangent Friday is going to be all about DC. Now moving on to today's episode. Today's episode is going to be a lot to do about something. And what's that something? Well, we're going to be talking about some Spider-Man news. Of course, the debacle, I guess, if you want to call it, the emotional news that was released that day sometime last week regarding Spider-Man, or was it 2 weeks ago now? And then, of course, whatever occurred at D23, whatever I can remember that occurred at D23, I will discuss on today's episode. I just want to let you guys know that we are so happy for those that follow us on factsnotincluded.com and have joined the website. If you haven't already, make sure that you join the website. Just click join forums and you're now a member of factsnotincluded.com, where you could create your own posts on the forum page or join in on discussions that are already taking place. And if you haven't already, check out tpublic.com, where you can check out the latest merchandise from Facts Not Included. Really cool merchandise that we have there, and of course new designs will be coming every so often. Again, if you want to have a sticker, a t-shirt, a sweater, a pillow, who knows, a phone case, a notebook that has the Facts Not Included logo on it, definitely check out TeePublic and just search Facts Not Included. But without further ado, like I said, let's head into today's episode. So, a couple of days ago, actually I don't even know exactly when the day that this news hit the world of entertainment, but I was going through some text messages and whatnot, and then all of a sudden I got a little alert from Twitter. I forget who it was exactly, but it said something about Spider-Man leaving the MCU, and I was like at first a little concerned about that, so I kind of, clicked on it, of course. And didn't really read into anything. I just saw the headline, and I kind of was a little nervous. I ignored it because I thought there's no way any of this could be real. Shortly after that, I want to say about maybe a couple of minutes to a half hour later or whatever, Antonio from the podcast, of course, hits us up and lets us know, guys, did you guys see this news that is coming out? And it was a link from comicbook.com, if I'm not mistaken. Antonio sent a link from comicbook.com. So I click on the link, and now I'm reading what they have to say. And now automatically I'm like, okay, I need to know the source of this this news. I need to know who this is coming from. Because I know we're Facts Not Included, and we don't like to really care so much about the facts. But I, as an individual, do care a lot of the times about where my news is coming from, as everyone in the world should. Now, with that being said, I noticed that it said that the report came from Deadline. Now, if you know anything about Deadline.com or anything about the people from Deadline, they are to be trusted. I don't know how they have their insights. I don't know who these people are necessarily. I never really looked into them. But it seems that more often than not, they are correct in their news telling, especially when it comes time to break some news. And so I was a little concerned at first that, oh my God, this is actually coming from Deadline. Oh my goodness. Now, I don't initially read the Deadline report. I start seeing, okay, maybe if is IGN running this? Is Variety running this? Is Hollywood Reporter running any of this? And I start to see that some of them are, and I'm starting to get a bit concerned. And then I start hearing news that Sony's to blame. Oh my God, Sony's the devil. All this stuff starts occurring, And I'm a bit concerned myself because, Disney would never allow for this to happen. And I said, let me read the report. Let me read the report for myself and for the Facts Not Included fans, for the podcast, and figure out whether or not this is news that needs to be told on the podcast. So I sit down, read the report, and I'm figuring out very clearly, at least according to the report, this is all Disney's fault. This is all Disney's fault. And I started to realize that maybe it's a bit of both sides. Clearly, it's both sides, Both sides are to blame for this. But at least to me, it seems that Disney is largely to blame. And now, for some of you that are listening to this podcast right now, you've probably heard a million people talk about the debacle already. You've probably heard people break down the report to a T, and I'm not here to necessarily do that. I'm just here to reiterate what was going on in my mind and what was going on the world of social media. Like, it was insane, right? So according to the report, Disney and Sony have, of course, their contract was up like in July or something like that, right? And the old news I heard that, I don't know if this is true or not, but because clearly it's not, the deal's not been made, that the 2 Spider-Man movies needed to make $1 billion. Now, they did. And that was to allow for the new contract to continue. Clearly, that's not the case. They wanted to renegotiate. Now, on Disney's end, Disney wants to make money on this. Disney's currently not making money, or enough money, on these Spider-Man movies. What they're making is roughly 5% of all earnings. Now, to some people, that's not a lot of money. To me, plenty of money. To a company like Disney, not a lot of money, right? Let's say $1 billion, was that 50 million? Something like that. So that's 5%. That being said, whatever, right? $50 million to me is a lot of money, but of course when you're making a big movie like that, you're going to want some more. Disney then went in, according to the reports, they then went in and said that they wanted roughly 50% of co-financing, as well as 50% of the revenue. Now, what does 50% of financing mean? It just means very simple that they were going to put 50% of whatever the movie cost up for grabs, right? So they were going to put in 50% of what the movie costs to make the movie. Very, very simple idea. Okay. But they also wanted 50% of that return. So whatever amount of money the movie made, Disney wanted 50% of that. Of course, Sony is going to say no. What studio in their right mind will take their biggest character and say, yeah, we'll give 50% of those earnings to a complete stranger? In this case, not a complete stranger, but it's a completely different movie studio that we have no, ties to, really. It's a completely different company. Why give 50% of your income, your revenue stream, your profit, whichever way you want to break it down, before, after taxes, all that stuff. But anyway, why would you give 50% to a different company? And I understood that. I understood why Sony would say no. Also, according to the report, Disney wanted 50% of, control, share of making this product. And you don't, again, just like when it comes to giving that money away, you don't give away that product. You don't give away that character. Now, let's be honest. Sony owns, roughly 500 to 900 Spider-Man characters. Basically, they own every single Spider-Man character that has ever been in the world of Spider-Man. To the very simple ones like Spider-Man, Spider-Gwen, Venom, Doc Ock, just all the villains, all the good people, all the minor characters, just every single character that's in the Spider-Verse is in Sony's playground, right? Disney wanted to play with some of those toys, but now that seems to not be the case. According to the report also, Sony came back with a counteroffer and Disney also declined. Now, in my point of view, and I've heard a couple of people talk about this, maybe Disney did this on purpose. Maybe Disney went in there with such a high demand on purpose, knowing that no company in their right mind would ever say yes to it, just so that Disney can get out of this partnership. I love Disney. Disney's my favorite brand out there. We talk about Disney's products a lot on this podcast. And I guess you can't blame them for wanting to move on from Spider-Man. I guess just because Disney's in the moment right now where working with other studios is not their MO. Working with another studio is not something they currently like to do right now. They clearly are either going to buy you out or not work with you at all. And that seems to be the case with this deal. Now, on Sony's angle, Sony is, again, to blame here as well. They could have given up a little bit more, but decided not to. But it was also at the end of the day, up to Disney to whether agree to something, because it's not Disney's character. You know, it's not Marvel Studios' character. It's Sony's Marvel Entertainment's character. There's a big difference there, folks. A lot of people don't know that. And so Sony right now is in a weird position, or maybe in an excellent position, where they can do what they want. All they have to do now is not mention Iron Man, Happy, Tony Stark, basically Iron Man, or just any of the MCU characters that occurred in any of the Marvel movies that he was in. Can't mention Captain America. Can't mention Nick Fury. Can't mention many characters that were in the MCU. But what they could do is work around that and just continue the story that they were telling now. Remember, Tom Holland is set up for 2 more movies apparently in his contract. 2 more films. Now, what does that mean? Well, that can easily mean a number of things. Could be Spider-Man movie that stars Venom. I don't think if he's in another movie, it counts as a movie, if you know what I mean. I don't think a cameo counts as one of his films. So we just got to see what Sony is going to do with this character. Let us know on factsnotincluded.com/forum what you guys want to see them do with this character. Do you want them to introduce Venom in the world that right now? Would you like Tom Holland's Spider-Man to be introduced in the Venom world? I mean, we're 99% sure they're going to do that at this point right now. Unless magically them and Sony and Disney come to a deal that allows them to stay in the MCU and so on and so forth and see what happens. We could sing Kumbaya and continue the magic that they created with the MCU. But listen, the MCU is right now in a position where they don't necessarily need a Spider-Man for another 2 more years. You know, Spider-Man is not a character that they need right now in the Phase 4. He's not mentioned at all in Phase 4 for good reason, because they knew that a deal needed to be made before they could make a confirmation for him to be in a certain phase. Maybe he was in plans for Phase 5, but clearly that is not something that is on the books at the moment. I like to think positively. I would like to think that he will be in a in an MCU film, in a Kevin Feige produced movie down the line. Is that the case right now? Clearly, it is a big fat no. But I think it rides on the fact that how well maybe Sony's films are going to do. I think it has to do a lot about that. And I think it also has to do with, I think the ball right now is in Sony's court. It is up to them to prove to the fans that, yes, we can make a complete Sony-made Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland in our universe and make it work. Listen, they've made the best Spider-Man movie in the history of Spider-Man movies. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Has nothing to do with the MCU. It's animated. It was fantastic. Now the question is, can they do the same with the live-action Spider-Man that they haven't been able to do since maybe Spider-Man, or Sam Raimi's Spider-Mans, like Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 1? Can they do something like that with Tom Holland? I think without a doubt they can. I truly believe in the Sony Spider-Verse. But the question is, Are the fans going to accept that? Are the fans going to want that? Are they going to flock to the theaters to see Tom Holland? Yes. The average fan that is unaware that the connection is between the MCU and Sony and all that stuff, those fans are going to definitely flock to the theater without a doubt. I at first might be a bit hesitant. I might be concerned at first. Okay, how are they going to do this? How are they going to explain that this is the same Spider-Man that we got from the first two movies? Remember, those are Sony films, so there is a connective tissue there. But the question is, how do we move on without? Because there was a connective tissue between that character and Iron Man in the second film, a very strong connection. There was that connection in the first movie, but this second movie was basically, here's the new mantle, here's the new Iron Man. And so the question is, how does Sony disconnect themselves from that Iron Man into this other Spider-Man? You know? Because in the first two Spider-Man movies, as well as the other MCU films that he's in, it's basically Iron Spider. There is no real Spider-Man in most of these movies. It's a bit of half and half, if you want to say. But it's a lot of Iron Spider stuff going on, and how do they disconnect themselves from that? I have no idea, and that is why I don't run a movie studio right now. I am simply doing a podcast, so that's why I'm not in charge, and I think that's up to those people at Sony to figure that out. And I don't envy those people. You know, I feel like that's a tall order to deal with right now, and I don't know if I would want to be doing that at all. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that portion. Next, I'm going to be talking about D23 and a lot of the things that had to do with Disney's convention in Anaheim. Of course, this is a convention I've always wanted to attend. This is something that is up there with, of course, San Diego Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con. It's probably three of the biggest conventions that occur each year. Well, actually, D23 occurs every other year. It's not every year. So I would put it up there with WonderCon, San Diego Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con. You know, it's huge. A lot of news is going to be coming out of D23. For those that don't know what D23 is, it's more or less a convention where the Walt Disney Company, not just the movie division, not just the theme parks division, but every division of the Walt Disney Company comes out there to flaunt their shit, more or less, flaunt their stuff, tell people, not just the stakeholders of the company, but also the fans and the people that are really into Disney, what is going on behind the scenes and what's going to be available to them in the near future. And of course, a very large portion of this year's convention had to do with Disney Plus. Without a doubt, it is probably the biggest thing Disney has ever taken control of in recent time, besides the acquisition, of course, of Fox. But you know, this is the biggest thing Disney's actually, you know, bringing out there to the fans. And so it's going to, of course, rival Netflix and Amazon Prime and whatever other, I guess, streaming services out there, if you want to call them competitors. But of course, it's the two main targets are, of course, Netflix and Amazon Prime. Of course, Disney is now the sole owner of Hulu, so that means that Hulu is, of course, going to be bundled within there. Of course, it was a couple of weeks ago they announced that ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus are going to be in one big old package for the low price of $12.99 a month. So, of course, why not jump on that? They also announced that if you join D23 for the weekend, up until, I think, Labor Day, you have a chance to acquire Disney Plus, just Disney Plus, not Hulu or ESPN Plus included, just Disney Plus. If you sign up to be a D23 member for free, they'll send you a link. This is fascinating. They'll send you a link to acquire 3 years of Disney Plus for the price of 2 years. I think it's something like that. And so you're locked in for 3 years, but you could only get Disney Plus. You don't get Hulu or ESPN Plus. So it's a really interesting thing. I mean, listen, we don't make money from Disney. I just wanted to mention that out there because I'm definitely going to sign up for one of those things. I don't know if I'm going to sign up yet for the just Disney Plus because I think I'm going to want some Hulu, but I'm not sure. But anyway, so for those that are interested about D23, continue to the rest of this episode. I think that's all we're going to talk about in this episode. So D23 occurred, and of course, like I say, so Disney Plus. I want to talk about Disney Plus. I'm kind of like sidetracking right now. I don't know why, but I am. They announced, of course, the pricing that had to do with it. They also announced something I think is the biggest announcement that has to do with Disney Plus, and that has to do with the fact that 4K is going to be in the price. It's already going to be included in the base price. If not, that seems like to be the only pricing that Disney is going to be having for Disney Plus, which is the $6.99 a month. You're going to be able to get 4K. And I think they also said unlimited screens, which means you could have it on fucking 10 screens if you wanted, and there wouldn't be a problem. So, unlike Netflix, if you compare that to Netflix, the lowest Netflix tier, I think, is streaming with 2 screens, high definition, 1080p. If you want to pay a little extra more per month, which is, again, the baseline is already over $6.99. You're already at $13, I think, or $11.99 for that base, 2 screens, HD, 1080p. If you move up a little bit more, and I forget, I think that's like 15, 16, 7, I don't even know what it is. I don't even have that one. And you get 4 screens with 4K. The problem with that is, again, it's only up to 4 screens. According to Disney Plus, from what I was reading, unlimited screens at 4K, $6.99. You can't argue that. Obviously, you're only just getting Disney, Nat Geo, Pixar, Marvel, and Star Wars content. But hey, for some people, that's more than enough content for them. So it's really exciting stuff. The most amazing thing is that it's gonna be in 4K, which leads me to believe that they're gonna put out a 4K version of Star Wars very, very soon. I don't know. Just saying. Anyway, so that's Disney Plus. Of course, there's going to be exclusive content on Disney Plus. They were talking about Lady and the Tramp that's coming out. I don't know if it's coming out day one, but it's coming out. A lot of things are coming out day one, and probably the biggest show that's going to be dropping is, of course, Star Wars The Mandalorian. We got the trailer for The Mandalorian. What strikes me about The Mandalorian, I think more than anything, is how serious they're taking it. When I first heard that they were making The Mandalorian, and then we saw some leaked teaser stuff from San Diego Comic-Con, I was blown away then, but I'm even more blown away now because it's just like, oh my god, they're putting money into this show. They're actually putting dollars into this show, and they actually care about it. You know, and apparently they're already writing season 2. Disney loves season 1 so much that they're already writing season 2. So what does that mean? I have no fucking idea, because Disney tends to greenlight things sometimes regardless. Oh my god, I'm just so excited for The Mandalorian. And Werner Herzog, man, he's definitely playing the villain, so I'm curious of how that's going to go, and it's going to be really cool. Antonio brought up an interesting idea. Does the Mandalorian speak? Because in this trailer, the Mandalorian does not talk. Does the Mandalorian speak? I have an interesting idea. Some people were talking about that maybe Pedro Pascal is not the Mandalorian, and indeed it is someone else in there. Maybe a lady, maybe a guy. Who knows who the fuck's under that hood? But we shall see. Anyway, that's the Mandalorian. Of course, there was Disney Star Wars news. And I think the biggest news out of that, which we're going to get to actually later. I'm not going to talk about the Star Wars news right now. At least the rise of Skywalker is not. I'm not going to talk about that right now. What else came out of D23? I think, man, I can't even think about it. There's a really cool, interesting documentary that is going to be dropping on Disney Plus, and it has to do with all the cast members and all the workers that work at Disney. And I think it's a really cool glimpse into the world that is. What is it like to work at Disney World or Disneyland or any of the Disney resorts, or including, I think, even the Disney cruises. And so that's going to be a really cool insight documentary on the lives of those individuals, and I think that's really fascinating. I think what blew my mind that came out, because I'm a big Disney Parks fan, big news that came out, of course, is the new Mary Poppins ride that we're going to be getting at Epcot's England Pavilion. Excuse me about that little hiccup there. The English Pavilion is going to be getting a Mary Poppins ride. First ever Mary Poppins experience, I think, in any Disney park ever. Of course, new news on Epcot. Epcot is going to be getting a total revamp, as we've been discussing since the beginning of this year. But it's going to be, they more or less confirmed that and showed everyone the diagrams at D23. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know what to say, because I'm just blown away that this is even happening. It needs to happen. Let's be honest. You walk into Epcot and you think that you're stuck in the 1980s. That is not what Epcot was meant to be. It is meant to be for the future. And so the fact that we're going to get a revamped Epcot is going to be awesome. What's even better about it is that all the conventions and all the festivals and fairs and whatever you want to call it that they do throughout the year at Epcot, the Food and Wine Festival, the Arts Festival, the Flower and Garden Festival, and this, I think they do another one. All the festivals that they do not necessarily have a space. They do, but they don't, and that space is going away soon, so they're going to need a big space. They're going to get one. They're going to get a multi-storied room building. It's kind of like, it's huge. It's not only it's big, it's also outdoorsy, and it feels like it's a giant... You guys got to look at the artwork online. If anything, we might share it on Facts Not Included's Instagram account. If not, just check it out yourself. It's really a fascinating diagram that they've created. We're also going to get a Moana experience at the park. It's not going to be a ride, but it's going to be an interactive thing. Kind of more or less what you see in Pandora if you've ever visited Animal Kingdom and see the stuff that's going on in Pandora, the guys with the drums and stuff like that. It's going to be something like that. But yeah, Epcot's going crazy. Epcot's going to be awesome in the future. And of course, Galaxy's Edge is opening as I speak, actually. Galaxy's Edge is already opened at Disney World in Hollywood Studios, and I've heard the lines were upwards of 5 hours to get in and or on a ride. I can't remember the details, but it's insane to think. It's insane to think about staying on a line for 5 hours. I think that's baffling. But yeah, so a lot of news came out of D23, and I'm sure I'm missing a lot. I'm just going off the top of my head. But there's some big news, of course, that came out of D23, and this is probably what I'm going to stay on for the rest of this episode, and that is, of course, the news. I want to call it a trailer. The news about Rise of Skywalker and the little video that we were given during D23. Of course, I did not attend D23, so I wasn't there. I was able to get this 2 days later on YouTube. So while we were in DC, I'm in our little hotel room, and I'm just chilling, and I tell the guys, "Oh my God, you're not even gonna believe what just dropped." And what it was what we thought was a trailer. Now they're saying it's not a trailer. It was a D23 sneak peek, or whatever you want to call it, into the Rise of Skywalker. And what we saw, I think, is so poignant. Kind of reminds me of I don't know if you guys remember or were alive for the Phantom Menace trailer that came out back in, of course, I think it was 1998, well before the movie came out. And it was a trailer that showed old clips from the old franchise, the original trilogy, mixed in with some of the new stuff that you were going to be seeing in the new film, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Now, that being said, you say what you want to say about that movie. The trailer, though, was fucking god awesome. Like, this trailer made you want to go see this movie 10 times just to experience whatever the trailer is trying to evoke, you know? And clearly we didn't get that, but hey, whatever. This trailer was just mind-blowing, the Episode 1 trailer, right? It reminded me of that a little bit, because it's showing old clips from the franchise, and Luke's talking over stuff, saying that, 1,000 generations live in you now. You know, the stuff that we've been hearing since the first Rise of Skywalker trailer, and all this stuff is going down. And then they hit us with a couple of crazy shots, a couple of crazy scenes that are going to be, maybe not, in the film. Now, of course, if you guys remember anything about Mr. J.J. Abrams, he likes to play the game of, I like to fuck with fans, let's just be honest. He likes to hide who's the villain. He likes to hide who's this, who's that. And the fact of the matter is, there's probably a lot of that in this trailer. Who knows what's real, who knows what's not real, right? So what I think is going down in this trailer, let's talk about what we see first, because you probably don't even know, probably haven't seen the trailer, or whatever you want to call it. So in the trailer, we see some, we see a little cool little village. It's been confirmed that it's not Jakku, it's not Tatooine, it's a totally different sand planet that we've never been to before, and that's where this festival thing is going down. Yada, 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 all this cool stuff. We see all these people, and then what we see that I think blows our freaking brains off, we see some Star Destroyers from the Imperial era. We see some Star Destroyers from the era of Mr. Emperor Palpatine. How the hell are they there? Now the question is, Well, yeah, how the hell are they there? But also the question is, why are they there, right? Because if you are to believe that they are real, that what I mean by real is that if you were to believe that Finn is actually looking at those star destroyers, based on the way that they cut that scene, um, then how are they there? If you read any of the canon, it is to believe that they are there because at the end of Palpatine's rule, towards the end, I think he was aware shit was going to go down. So, of course, with a guy like that, you have all this stuff laid out. You have, in the event I die, blah, blah, blah. Right? It's kind of more like a will. And he directed a lot of his people, a lot of his followers, a lot of the people that were deeply indoctrinated in his way of life to flee to the outer rim, right? Flee to the outer rim, go out there and seek refuge way out there. They're never going to find you, right? And a lot of them did, and some of them became the remnants of that became the First Order and whatnot. And if you read any of the Aftermath series, it's a 3-book series. I definitely recommend that you do check that out because it will explain what the fuck's going on maybe in this movie. Some of them didn't come back. Some of them just stayed out there, right? And so maybe, just maybe, those are the Star Destroyers that fled and that left, and they're back. You know, that would be the ultimate storytelling, right? It would just be a full circle of just a holy fuck moment. What's going down? As a Star Wars fan, I would love to see that. And who knows? Maybe the First Order and the Resistance, they get teamed together and try to take on the Empire. Like, that would just be mind-blowing, right? Another option is that none of this is real. None of this is real, and it's all in a vision. It's all in a Force dream, and maybe it's Palpatine telling a story. I was dead, and I had all my, whatever. I had my people go to the outer rim. Whatever it may be. There's that option. There's another option. People are talking about Thrawn, but to be honest, I don't think that would make any sense. But there's a lot of things that are, I don't know, that could equate to what we see in that trailer. Of course, the big cheese, the big moment of this trailer is the very end, when we hear Darth Vader's breathing, and we hear a little Duel of Fates. I think you can hear some Duel of Fates, the orchestra from the Duel of Fates, and we see a dual-bladed lightsaber held by none other than Rey. What? This is wacky. Now, again, couple of options we have here. We have the one option, which is she's turned to the dark side, and we're gonna have to deal with that. Maybe Luke. Maybe Kylo has finally turned her. The other question is, what happens to Kylo? I think Kylo's staying dark. He's Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. He's clearly too far to the dark side, and I think he's staying to the dark. I think he dies in this fucking movie. I'm gonna be honest. I think Kylo dies in this fucking movie. I think Senator Palpatine, Emperor Palpatine, whatever, kills him. That's just me. That's another story for another time. But maybe Rey has actually turned to the dark side. By who? Maybe by Kylo, maybe by Palpatine. There's that option. There's the option that Palpatine is controlling her. Maybe Palpatine is within her. Who knows? Okay? There's that option. There's the option that this is a Force vision, some sort of future vision. Maybe this is a Sith vision. Who the fuck knows? It could be something that, some dreamlike sequence that is happening. It's not like it's not been seen in a J.J. Abrams Star Wars movie before. We saw it in the first one, in The Force Awakens. So who's to say it's not one of those? Okay, there's that. Now we move on to the other possibilities that I've been hearing around town, and I think these are pretty plausible possibilities. Now, one of them is that is Rey's twin sister. What? That'd be crazy. That'd be really cool. Twin sister, she's been hidden the whole time. There's a reason why Rey was dropped off at Jakku. It's because her sister was worthy to be a dark side Sith. Who knows? Maybe it's a clone. Maybe there's many clones. Maybe this is one of the clones that actually succeeded in Palpatine's little game that he has going on. So who's to say that she's not a clone? Who's to say that this option's not even possible? That maybe that is Rey actually being Rey, like she's good, but she's infiltrating the dark side. Who's to say that she's not a spy for the for the rebellion, the resistance, trying to get in there at that. So many different options. I want you guys to hit us up on Twitter and let us know what you guys think, or email us at factsnotincluded@gmail.com, or even check out factsnotincluded.com/forum and talk about the Rise of Skywalker little D23 video. Start your own conversation or join in one that's already taking place, and we'll talk about that stuff on there as well. And we'll even get your little information on the podcast as well. I had somebody hit us up the other day talking about that exactly. Someone had brought up that they think that it is a clone, and I'm really excited for that idea. Maybe it is a clone. It wouldn't be the first time that Palpatine was playing around with clones. Of course, you have the whole stormtrooper situation, the clone troopers. Those were all clones, guys. Those were all clones. And EU continuity, which is not canon anymore, but Palpatine played around with the idea of cloning himself and other individuals as well. So these are things that are possible in the world of Star Wars. So that's going to be today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it so much. Again, like I said, check out factsnotincluded.com/forum, or even /news, and even listen to the podcast at factsnotincluded.com. Make sure you guys are checking us out on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. DM us on Twitter. Do whatever you got to do to get in touch with us. We always want to hear from the fans. You can even check us out on Facebook, and again, contact us there as well, or even email us at factsnotincluded.com. factsnotincluded@gmail.com. I apologize for that one. But of course, if you guys want to just stay in touch with us, all you got to do is just hit us up. That's it. Very simple. Don't forget to check out our Instagram at factsnotincluded. We always have some really cool things there. And of course, probably the latest of news from us on our Facts Not Included's Instagram story. It's probably the best time to find out what we're doing in the moment, in the now. So anyway, so glad you checked out this episode. I'd like to speak to you guys very soon. Peace out.